Hey, what's up, guys? It's the Cleveland Brawler here with a special guest for you, the Bearded Savior. We got this week's Smackdown review coming at you. We're going to talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. And finally, we're going to close by giving you an overall grade of the show.
What's up, guys? Bearded Savior here. And first off, let me say it's great to be on the podcast, and I can't wait to get down to business. And as always, we'd love to thank you, the TRWC fans, for interacting with us, because without you guys, there is no real wrestling community.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. Um, Without you guys, we really wouldn't have much of a page because nobody would be telling us what we want to see or what they want to hear or whatever. So big shout out to you guys. So let's get started off here with our SmackDown review, what you guys came to listen to. Um, I thought overall, before we even get into it, I won't give you the grade yet, but I think it was a good show. We've said before that SmackDown is on the up and coming. So if you guys haven't tuned in to see SmackDown on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock on USA, nice plug there. Definitely check it out because it's worth watching now.
I definitely agree, Brawler. I mean, whereas in the past years it used to be more like a Raw rebound or highlights of Raw and like one or two matches here and there, it's starting to become more than that. They're starting to have their own storylines. They're starting to have more match time. And of course, with Morrow and commentary and came back to being heel and then feeding off each other, it's just great.
It is. It's great, and I'll go back with what you said about the storylines and story development. Yeah, it really has become more. There's a lot more story development now on SmackDown. Like this week on SmackDown, I saw some of the most story development I have um, in a recent while. Granted, if the match was what you wanted it to be, the main event, the ending, it was good story movement, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
So let's get started off here. First segment was everybody's favorite Miz TV, and with his guest, the phenomenal AJ Styles. He's been on the show a couple times now on Miz TV. Now I think 3 times, is it?
Yeah, I think it's like 3 times.
2 or 3 times. I know that's for sure. But obviously it's because it's proved to be a good segment, and this week has been a very good segment. And obviously it helps show that Miz might be a little jealous of AJ Styles getting all the attention that he gets.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody knows that I'm not a big fan of The Miz, but here recently I like what they're doing with him. And this segment of Miz TV, it had some serious points, but it also had some comedic effect to it. Whereas it was, quoting the Hollywood movies, and Maurice was over there being his echo and all that, and saying, "Oh my God, baby, you look so sexy," and just feeding it up to him, making him look good.
Yeah, and to me that whole little way that they kind of closed out Miz TV seemed very not very PG. They kind of they said a lot of things, and they were getting a little sexual there, and then they started making out, and I mean that ain't PG, man. I mean it is, but it isn't.
Maybe they'll be the next Edge and Lita.
Oh man, I really, as much as I love Edge and Lita, I don't want another live sex celebration. I don't.
I
It
know
was
that's gonna be the
it,
one.
it was it was debatable, to say the least. So yeah, they talked about on Miz TV. They talked about basically just going back and forth about the recent things that have happened between AJ and Roman, and of course Miz being the Miz was saying, you obviously are having Anderson and Gallows do your bidding for you, and he was kind of like, no, Miz, I don't need them to beat Roman. I can do it by myself, and he really got pressed. And got up in his face. He got up out of his chair and started yelling at him, and it looked really cool. It was really, really good acting, in my opinion. And I'm an actor myself, so for WWE, I thought that was very good acting.
Absolutely, and it's getting to the point where they're really building on the story of whether or not AJ is behind the Anderson Gallows attacking people for him, and like you said, of course AJ is pure defensive on how he's not telling them what to do and he wants to fight his own battles. But now that you think about it, it could be Finn could be behind all this.
That's very possible. Definitely, very possible. Um, so we moved on from that. AJ left, and it ended with Miz and Maurice making out. in front of the camera, which nobody really wanted to see. And we moved on to our first match of the night. It was a WrestleMania rematch. Sorry, guys. And it was between Ryback and Kalisto, probably the most forgettable match of the night. So why not repeat it on Smackdown? And if you're asking me, I would be completely honest in saying that I think the Smackdown match was better than the WrestleMania match.
I kind of agree. Their match was better than the WrestleMania match. But the way I see it, I mean, I felt like they put too much on Ryback and made him look way too strong. And Kalisto didn't have too many comeback spots, and they pretty much made Ryback look like he demolished him.
They did. He had a lot of offense in that match, and it really didn't do much for Kalisto in the sense that it just made Kalisto look like he's not really a champion.
And of course, we know the U.S. title is back to where it was. And everybody knows that follows me on chat and follows me on TRWC knows that I'm not the biggest John Cena fan in the world. But I agree that John Cena really brought legitimacy back to the U.S. title. I missed the U.S. Open Challenge.
Oh, most definitely, he brought legitimacy to the U.S. title, and all of you who follow me on TRWC would know that I am a big John Cena fan. He's done a lot for me in the past, and I don't have to tell you guys how I feel and why I like John Cena, but I will. He's just done a lot for me in the past, and he was a big part in my life, and so I would 110% agree that he did a lot for the U.S. title, whether it was against these matches, these U.S. Open matches. One match that people forget, probably because it wasn't with somebody as notable as like Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens, was his Stardust match.
Absolutely.
His match with Stardust.
That was actually his first one.
Yeah, that was one of the best ones, and that was really what got it started. Because if had that match not been as good as it was, there would have been no John Cena U.S. Open Challenge.
Absolutely.
They would have nixed it right there.
Oh, absolutely. And going back to Kalisto's championship reign, like I said, I feel like they're just making him weak now. Whether or not they're going to let him drop the title to Ryback later on is another story. But I feel like, of course, we've heard the rumors about Ryback being complacent about his position in WWE, not wanting more out of his WWE career. They might not have cared too much about the WrestleMania match. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But all in all,
right. And I think Ryback needs to learn that until you start doing something that puts you aside from every other big guy that's ever been in the WWE, you don't deserve anything special. You don't deserve a special treatment, buddy. And I'm not saying Ryback's bad, but he did kind of steal that running knee from CM Punk. I've seen him go top rope recently, but, I think he really needs to do something. Look at Samoa Joe. Look at Joe. That guy is easily like 200, 300 pounds. Definitely not even 200 pounds. It was more like 300. And he's doing spinning Pele kicks. He's going, he's doing stuff that guys his size should not even be able to think about being able to do. And he's busting it out. So that's what makes Joe interesting. And if he looks at other big wrestlers like that and wonder why Joe gets a better pop than he does, there's your explanation right there. He's not interesting to me anymore. And while I do, think that he could be something, he's not interesting to me anymore. So Ryback ended up beating Kalisto. It was a non-title match.
But they sounded like they were promoting it for the U.S. title. So when Ryback got
right. The way they made it seem, saying it was a WrestleMania rematch, was made it seem like it was for the U.S. title. But Kalisto went for the Salida del Sol, and he was caught midair by Ryback. Ryback hit the shell shock for the uno, dos, tres.
And that was probably the only thing I liked about the match was that finish spot. But other than that,
that was a great. He gave that shell shock very well, and Kalisto sold it very well.
Absolutely.
So I would say that. Next up was Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. And while I do like Baron Corbin, I like what they're doing with Baron Corbin, I wasn't very happy with the outcome of this match and having it end up being no contest. So, Xavier, let me hear your thoughts. What do you think about this match?
All right, first off, let me say that I used to absolutely hate Baron Corbin because I'm not the big fan of building a new talent up with squash matches. I think they should be going about it another way. But that being said, how he attacked Dolph from his entrance and, just pretty much waylaid him through the whole match, throwing him to the steps and everything, that looked pretty cool. Like I said, it is kind of redundant because that's the third time that they've done it. But then he goes up to the stage and they do a little interview, which I think they need to start doing more of those kind of ringside interviews because it's kind of
I agree. They used to do those back in the day, and they kind of stopped. And they've always done it like very sporadically. Like they bring them on for a while, and then they stop doing them. And they try doing it again. I think that now's the right time to really keep doing that full force and bring in those ringside interviews. It could work.
oh definitely. And then when they interviewed Baron Corbin, he was like, why'd you do that? And all he just said was because I can. While he's still working on his mic skills, he don't need to talk too much until he works on those. But he's improving, and I'm a fan now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wasn't very high on Baron Corbin too once he was in NXT, and they were trying to basically give him the Goldberg treatment and give him the streak. And you could see people, they booed him. And so they pulled him back really hard. We've talked about this on the podcast. I know we have, me and Weebs. They pulled him back real hard, and the fans started to realize, hey, this guy actually can work in the ring, and he's interesting. Got a very compelling character, and he's become a lot more vocal in the ring, screaming at his opponents. Like JBL says, there's a different, getting beat up's one thing, but when somebody's talking to you and beating you up, it's that much worse. So I think that he's playing the heel very well. He just needs to learn how to talk a little bit better.
Yeah, and I agree. And one thing I do like about his character is the fact that when he is in a match or he's in an angle, he promotes the fact that he don't care how many years you've been in the Indies. He doesn't care how many years you spend in Japan or Germany. When you come here, if you haven't faced somebody like me, you're not going to get the best of me.
And I think he's almost right, and I might get chewed out for saying that, but he is right. I don't know if AJ Styles was really the right person to put up against Roman now. He really hasn't done a whole lot in WWE to give him that title opportunity. Granted, he did win the Fatal 4-Way, but still, he hasn't done a whole lot to really say that he's World Heavyweight Championship material to the WWE audience. If you follow him all around the world, heck yeah, he should have been a 5-time WWE champion already. But to the casual viewer of WWE, they don't really know who AJ Styles is, and they need to kind of follow that. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of other people that they could have picked for Roman to face other than AJ, but we get what we get.
Absolutely.
And not that I don't like AJ Styles at all, because I do. I love AJ Styles. He's great. He's probably, next to Jay Lethal, the best wrestler in the world right now. But I think that there was just a couple other people that should have had the opportunity before AJ did. And I've heard that by multiple people on the page. So, yeah, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler ends in a no contest. And, of course, Ziggler takes a third straight end of days on the outside, which looks like it's got to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the receiving end of that move.
No. I would agree with you right there. I would not either. Then we moved on to AJ versus The Miz, which was probably the best match of the night. Very close. Second was the main event. But how'd you feel about AJ Miz?
Actually, this is one of my favorite matches of the night. I mean, I did not think that they were going to give him this long. I mean, they went, like 20 or 30 minutes, and there was some great spots. I mean, Miz, honestly, has improved on his wrestling, and he really proved that he can handle working with AJ, and I honestly love that match.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe Miz said, hey, you knocked my teeth out the first time, so let me get another crack at you. That could have been a conversation backstage and say, let's mix it up again. And he still did end up putting AJ over, definitely, but he put AJ over both times, I believe. But I think that Miz had a very good match. That match on SmackDown, I thought it was a very good match.
Absolutely. And I hate to nitpick a great match, but am I the only one who thinks that the Phenomenal Forearm is a great move, but it shouldn't be used as a finisher?
Well, here's what I'll say about that. I see where you're coming from, but I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here. And I know that you're probably not the biggest Roman Reigns fan, but doesn't he use a punch as his finishing move, or one of his finishing moves?
Yeah, you're right.
He does. He uses the Superman punch, which, in my book, you compare the phenomenal forearm to Roman Reigns' Superman punch. Tell me right now, which one you think looks more like a Superman punch.
Well, of course, AJ's, but the point I'm getting at, Brawler, is the fact that I see AJ being so well versed in his moveset. I can see him being the type of guy that can win with a different finisher each time he gets in the ring. Like, let's say, one day, phenomenal forearm, next, spiral tap, which he's yet to use yet, the calf crusher, and then, like, the Styles Clash on rare occasions.
Just to go back for really quick, for all those people who do not know what the spiral tap is, would you mind elaborating on what that is?
Basically, it's pretty much like a 630 almost, and he flips like 3 times, and he lands on you like a swanton, pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have. The spiral tap is very good. And I get where you're coming from. He is so well versed, and it's almost like they don't trust him. Where I think he should almost have the level of trust that they give to guys like Kane and Undertaker and stuff like that, because they have banned the pile driver from WWE, but they still let Kane and Undertaker do the tombstone, which is a variation of the pile driver, because they know that they're not going to mess it up, chances are. So I think you look at what AJ has done around the world, where he's worked for, and how much experience he really does have, and you say, go out there, use the Styles Clash. I think I'm confident in your ability to be able to use it and use it safely.
Yeah, I honestly think when it comes to the Styles Clash, I think whoever AJ's working a match with at that time, he probably goes up to him and says, "Hey, do you mind me using Styles Clash?"
And whether they say, I don't feel comfortable or go for it, it's the way that it works.
Right. But all in all, great match with AJ and Miz, best match of the night in my opinion.
Right, it ended with Gallows and Anderson coming down to about halfway down the ring, down the ramp, and Miz got a little distracted. AJ hit the phenomenal forearm, and that was it. So yeah, I'd say like we both said, best match of the night, easy. And that moved us backstage to the Gallows and Anderson promo. I think we went to a commercial after the match ended initially, but then we went back to the Gallows and Anderson promo, and they continued to talk about why they came to the WWE and if they really are doing AJ's bidding for him. And they said, no, we're not doing we don't need to do what AJ tells us to do. We're here to make an impact. That's why we came to the WWE, because this is the most televised, the most popular, the most known wrestling company, and we want to be known. We want to come here. We want to make a name for ourselves. Where a better place to do that than in WWE?
And I absolutely agree with you. I mean, like you said, that they did not come here to do AJ's bidding. They're here to make an impact, and I think this was their first promo as an actual promo. And of course, they're both well versed in cutting promos because they've been all over the world.
Well, if you add that promo in on Monday that they had with AJ when they kind of came in and did a joint promo together. But yes, this was their first solo, just Anderson and Gallows promo.
And I think they did great. And of course, they're not doing AJ's bidding. Like you said, they're going to make an impact, and I believe their first match is going to be Monday against the Usos. And so watch Monday, and you'll see how big of an impact we made.
Heck yeah, definitely. And going back to the last podcast we did, the Raw podcast, I made a point in saying that from what I remembered from Gallows being in the WWE here before, I think he's gotten a lot better on the mic being in Japan. He's really worked on that, I think, and he was always pretty decent in the ring. But as from what I've seen, he's gotten a lot better in the ring. And that helped, that comes with working with such talented wrestlers that you have overseas. And he's gotten a lot better on the mic, definitely, from what I've seen. He seems a lot more natural on the mic, whereas people like Roman Reigns, and I hate to, keep harping on Roman Reigns, but it's the truth. They don't sound realistic. They don't sound real on the mic. And Gallows sounded very real on the mic on SmackDown and on Raw.
I mean, for casual fans, they're not going to be able to pick stuff out like this, but for people that's watched wrestling for 10, 15, 20 years like we have, we can tell when something is rehearsed and scripted and when you come out. We can tell
exactly
from the heart.
Exactly. And that's what wrestling fans want to see. That's what they respect. That's what they want. Bottom line, bar none. They don't really even care if you go out there and talk about absolutely jack nothing. They want you to go out there, put your heart into it, and and give them what you are. Who are you as a wrestler? That's what they want. They don't, like, I guarantee you there's millions of Ric Flair promos where he's talking about nothing. But you know why people like it, and you know why it's so revered, is because he spoke from the heart. He shot from the hip, like Paul Heyman likes to say, and gave us how he felt.
Exactly. And going back to the way you say, tell us who you are, that's pretty much exactly how Anderson and Gallows was talking in their backstage interview. Who are we? We're Anderson and Gallows, and we're here to make an impact. Now,
Yeah.
as far as, their match for Monday, I feel like they should have made them, be coming out and, start beating people up for a while. Kind of booking them like Hall and Nash for a little bit, whereas they just come out and start attacking people, and then afterwards give them a match like a high-profile pay-per-view, like SummerSlam or something.
Oh, definitely. And I think I hope that they don't really carbon copy the NWO debut and make that the Bullet Club debut in WWE, because they have that opportunity now because Vince owns WCW, and they could literally take the match that they had at Bash at the Beach 96 and do it, exactly how they did it and debut Bullet Club like that, and that's fine and dandy, but people are going to realize that, and with there being so much backlash at these reused storylines, I don't think that would work.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, because people can tell when a storyline is rehashed and recycled. I mean, of course, you're bound to have some similarities in certain storylines, but if you do something, just throw it all in there and know that it's going to be the exact same thing. You're like, really? You're not that creative, guys? Come on.
Right. So, yeah, I think it was a good promo. Haven't seen much from them, but definitely a good promo to get their some viewers for them.
Absolutely.
So, moving on to the next match, we had a Divas tag team match. Naomi and Tamina came out during the commercial break, and I saw Naomi and Tamina in the ring, and I said, "Yep, squash match. She's losing." And out comes Natty and then Paige, and I said, "Yep, definitely losing." So I think everybody knows the outcome of the match. Paige and Natty won. What'd you think of the match, Xavier?
Well, I thought it was all in all, it was a decent match for a few of the women to get some TV time. But let me start off by saying I think Naomi's one of the most underrated women's wrestlers on that roster, and I feel she doesn't give credit where she deserves it. But the only thing I need to nitpick is get rid of her rear view submission. You cannot believe that somebody can really knock you out for a 3 count with their butt.
Right. Yeah. It's not. I don't care how big your butt is. You're not putting down somebody on the mat for 3 seconds with that. It's just not believable. And while Asuka uses her running hip attack, again, listen to what I just called that, a running hip attack. She's hitting you with more of her hip bone than her rear end. So I think that, and Asuka's just Asuka. So that goes without saying.
What a woman, Asuka.
Oh my gosh, she is. On the contrary to most people, they don't really find her very attractive, but I do.
Oh God, Jesus.
Smokes. Whew. She is just, and the fact that she can go in there and kick some butt makes her that much more attractive.
I feel sorry for her boyfriend if he makes her mad.
I know, I wouldn't want to make her mad. Whatever she wanted, you better give it to her.
Yep. But like I said, all in all, it was a good tag match. I mean, everybody got their spots in. I mean, I think they gave them like 10 minutes, which, I mean, that's good. But, I mean, everybody got their
7 to 10 minutes, I would say.
I think my favorite thing about that match was the double submission finisher at the end where Paige got the Scorpion crosslock and Natty got the sharpshooter double tap out. I always thought finishes like that are good because I'm big on submission wrestling. I'm a big submission wrestling fan. I think seeing more submissions is great. I also think it's great that a lot of the main women's wrestlers like Becky, Paige, Natty, Charlotte, Sasha, they all have submission finishers, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Because you look at women's wrestling, and really it is a lot more technical than men's wrestling is at points, because sometimes they do the high flying stuff, but there's a lot of technical wrestling in the WWE for women, and I agree with you. I think that that's something they need to keep pushing, is giving the women submission, and maybe sooner rather than later all those people hating on women's wrestling will slowly realize that, wow, the women just brought back submission wrestling, and I was dogging out the women the whole time. So they need to open up their eyes and realize that the women are here and they're here to stay.
Absolutely, and they ain't going nowhere. We got some of the best women on the roster now, and
Heck yes.
they ain't gonna take no for an answer.
Heck yes. So, Paige and Natty defeat Naomi and Tamina via double submission. Probably the best finish of the night. And we moved on to another backstage promo, Zayn and Ambrose, which was probably the best promo of the night.
Oh, absolutely. I thought it was a great, hilarious promo where they're sitting there talking about, beating Owens and Jericho, and then they start trying to come up with tag team nicknames, and I think one of them was like, "Hey, let's do it. Let's call ourselves the Rough Riders," and then Sammy being the pure type of pure soul guy, and Ambrose being the dirty, gritty kind of I don't care guy. He's like, "No, that's too sexual. We gotta keep it PG, man."
Right, exactly. And there you go. There's another push, I think, and kind of jab at the PG era, and showing like, hey, we know you guys don't necessarily want to watch the PG stuff, so let's give you what you want and get a little bit more gritty, get down to it, and get a little bit more dirty and adult, because this is my thing. When has fighting ever been good for children to watch?
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is professional wrestling. It's not ballet. It never was tailor-made for children. I can understand WWE being a marketing company and wanting to play to the casual audience and being family-friendly to get more eyes on the show, but it never was meant to be that way.
And actually, there was something posted on the page, and you guys can say whatever you'd like about it. John Cena said the one thing that he misses in this PG era is the blood. And that's coming from John Cena! So I had to do it. I had to do it. But I think that he's right in the fact that, and he's the biggest guy that plays to the kids, one of the biggest guys that plays to the kids, and he misses the blood. So if Cena's missing the blood, that's saying something, dude.
Yeah, and he was one of the people that would blade the most and get the most color in his matches.
Oh, I thought he was a great blader, always. Every time he bladed, it was very believable. Very, very, very good blades from John Cena.
Absolutely.
So, they had the little backstage promo, worked a little bit, worked the crowd a bit, got some laughs, and we moved on to probably the most odd match of the night, which was R-Truth versus Fandango, Goldust as the special guest referee. And what intrigued me really was the fact that Goldust was a special guest referee and this match was happening on Smackdown. Because you don't get that very often, stuff like that, on Smackdown, but you have been getting it more often than not in recent weeks. We've had maybe 3 or 4 championship matches on Smackdown. We had the Intercontinental Championship rematch. I know we had a United States Championship. They've had debuts on there. We had this stipulation match, and a lot of people I get on my comments saying, well, if they would dedicate the time that they put into Goldust and R-Truth for somebody that's worth doing it to, they have a great roster. And I'm like, you know what, man, there's always room for improvement, obviously, but they are the comic relief. That's what they are. And whether people want to like it or not, they're entertaining. They are. They're funny. They make me laugh. So I like them.
Absolutely. Before I get started talking about this, I need to get a swig of beer for the podcast, man, as Austin would like to say. Hold on just a second.
Heck yeah, dude. We're both both ready to go.
Okay.
Give it up to Austin, because I know if I don't think Stone Cold would be listening to this, but if he was, I know he'd take a swig with you.
Oh, absolutely. Now, let me start by saying, when I first saw this match, I'm like, okay, Fandango's getting TV time? Okay, that's crazy. I mean, I feel bad for Johnny Curtis. I mean, he had a great gimmick going into this, and he had a great gimmick before he did the Fandango thing, and then they give him Fandango. He turned chicken crap into gold. But I see this match, and it like you said, it was comedy relief, and I thought it was hilarious. I was laughing the whole way through from where, Goldust is grabbing Fandango's hands, and they're doing the Big E shuck and jive, and then doing the tanky leg, and everybody's just dancing around having a fun time. I'm sitting here laughing the whole time. I'm like, okay, yes, this is hilarious.
Yeah, it was a really, really well thought out and very well put on comedy bit for the WWE crowd to enjoy. And R-Truth is so funny. When he first started doing the whole like confused gimmick of coming out and thinking like he was in the Money in the Bank match when it wasn't the Money in the Bank match, or thinking that it was like a Survivor Series match and he was really in the Royal Rumble or something like that. Like in the Royal Rumble, perfect example. He came into the Royal Rumble match and got a ladder and went in the ring and got the ladder, climbed the ladder to the top of the ring, or to the top of it, realized that it wasn't a ladder match, and was like, and even mouthed the words to everybody in the crowd just so that they can see it.
Where's the briefcase?
My bad. Which I think that right there is one of the reasons we watch pro wrestling, for those moments right there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, R-Truth and Goldust both, and I did a fantasy booking about Goldust being WWF champion. If y'all haven't, go check it out. But I mean, R-Truth and Goldust are both two of the most underrated wrestlers in WWE. I mean, R-Truth, he truly never got his shot in the WWE. I mean, if you go back to when TNA very first started back in 04, 05, he was NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I mean, he kind of did the same old conspiracy theory gimmick that he did in WWE, but I mean, he had great matches, he had great promos. He did a great job in TNA.
R-Truth was doing his thing down there, and I believe he was even in the 3 Live crew.
I believe you're right. Yeah, that's correct.
With B.G. James and Kip James, a.k.a. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn.
Shh, don't say that.
Oh, whoops, did I ruin it for anybody? Sorry.
But all in all, great match. Both guys are underrated, but, I mean, as far as we know, they're here for comedic relief, and they're happy to do this, and, help the fans. But all in all,
those guys are old. They're old time. They've been around for a while. I think they're just happy to be on TV and happy to give the fans the moments that they give them, and give back to the business in a way.
Absolutely, I agree.
And that right there is something that is so extremely commendable, that you look at, R-Truth's career, you look at Goldust's career, they really haven't had a whole lot of big moments in their career, and the fact that they go out there willingly, do what they do, and give us what they give us, I think that is just so commendable for them to not, go out there and say, I should be World Heavyweight Champion. I should do this. I should do that. Vince, why was I never given the championship? No, they go in there, they see what, they're given what they're given, they go out there and they make the best of it, they make the most of it. Always.
Absolutely.
So props to R-Truth, Goldust. You guys are A+ superstars in my book forever. Now, actually, once I said that the Ambrose and Zayn promo was the best of the night, I kind of forgot about this promo, and I would like to go back and say that this was probably, in my opinion, the best promo of the night, with Enzo and Cass and the Vaudevillains. If you want to consider that a promo, it was more like an in-ring confrontation, but it was similar to a promo. What do you think of little tackle in the ring?
Oh man, I thought that this was great. Enzo and Cass and the Vaudevillains played well off of each other. I feel like because Enzo and Cass and the Vaudevillains being in the number one contender tournament for the finals, Enzo and Cass come out talking about how Enzo looks like an annoying dog with mange, and we are men in a men's world, and I use that term specifically. You two are boys, and I use that term loosely. And then Enzo gets in there, he feeds off of both of them. I just thought that they looked great together in each other.
They did. They really did. They played off of each other well, and I think that comes with them being in NXT together and spending so much time. They've had matches in NXT together, and that really it happens with experience and reps, what they call it. If you look at all the matches that Rock and Triple H had, or the 3 huge matches of Rock, Stone Cold, they had faced each other before so many times, and they knew each other so well that it just made for such great matches. Now, I won't say they got better as they did, because you look at Stone Cold versus The Rock, and I would say probably the best quality match that they had was at 17 in the main event. But and then probably their first meeting, and then put their last meeting at 19 in there as, third, but you get what I'm saying, that it comes off of experience, and that's why Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens work so darn well together, because they've faced each other so many times on the indies.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, and going back to Enzo and Cass, I feel like that when they was coming back on the Vaudevillains, I think you was telling me about this earlier in the day, how when Enzo was like, you keep reading the books and we'll keep writing them.
Exactly. That's what I love. Enzo has a degree in journalism. He has never read a book in his life, and what he likes to say is, if you're reading, you ain't writing. And that's almost a norm. You would look at that at first glance and say, oh, well, that's silly. But then you think about it, and it makes a lot of sense. He said that he's got over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of promos written, ready to go, and so he's got
years worth of material, I bet.
Right. So we really don't have to worry about Enzo ever not having something to tell us.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm going to do my best Enzo impression here. But, I mean, just going back and listening to how he said it and pulling his little own thing, and he's like, you keep reading the books, and we'll keep writing. How you doing?
How you doing? One of my favorite things he says is, couple haters. Got a couple haters. And I just think that's so funny. So perfect for them. And while you might not necessarily like them the most, you cannot deny, you can't say that they're not entertaining.
Absolutely not. But then again, I am kind of worried about the Vaudevillains because rumor has it Vince is regretting calling them up because he doesn't think they're getting over with the casual audience.
Well, here's what I got to say about that is he didn't think Cesaro got over with the crowd either, but look where that got him. So I think Vince needs to realize maybe he's not the smartest egg in the basket.
I mean, Vince is set in his ways, but Vince, everything doesn't happen overnight. They've only been on the main roster for like 2 weeks now. Give it time.
Exactly. Give them some time. They're not exactly the gimmick that's gonna fly right from the get-go. The crowd needs to know who they are before they get invested in them. And I think that two things you do for them is give them a live manager and give them a backstage segment. You give them something called like the Gentleman's Club. They could talk about being gentlemen, talking about what you do for a lady to be chivalrous, and how you properly eat at dinner or stuff like that. You give them a manager, give them somebody to play off of that can even talk for them, even though they can't. It's not like they can't talk. Just somebody that can back them up and say, hey, I know what these guys can do. These guys are strong men.
Absolutely.
So I think that there's more to come with the Vaudevillains.
Absolutely. So, like we said before, best promo of the night.
Definitely best promo of the night, in my opinion, in your opinion. Let us know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let's close it out now with the main event. We had Kevin Owens, Fight, versus Y2J, the best in the world at what he does. Do you understand the words that I'm saying to you? Versus Dean Ambrose, who is the lunatic fringe, need I say more, thought he could beat Brock Lesnar but couldn't. Let's tuck that one under the rug. And Sami Zayn, probably the most over guy with the crowd right now. Teaming up, they took on each other. What do you have to say about the match, Xavier?
Hey, looking at this on paper and in the ring, you've got two of the most over heels in the company currently versus the most two over faces currently in the company, and it's a recipe for absolute success. They had great spots here and there. It's
good booking, very good booking.
Of course, Kevin being the guy that he is, he does his indie stuff. He feeds to the crowd, and that's a very indie thing to do. He plays to the crowd, and I love that. I just got one thing to nitpick, and that's when Dean Ambrose did his little suicide dive. I saw him doing the little kiss thing to the camera, and of course, all the fangirls are going to go crazy. But after that, he does the suicide dive, goes out, starts waylaying on Owens, and then Jericho comes around the corner and tries to go punch him, but completely misses him, and of course, it looks horrible. But I mean, I got to nitpick certain things, but all in all, I thought it was a great match. I didn't happen to see the finish because I happened to went into the kitchen at the time. Do you know what happened?
I did, and this is my nitpicking moment of the night. The finish was not very good. Dean Ambrose went up on the top rope. Sami Zayn was already out on the other side of the ring. Chris Jericho came out of nowhere, pushed him off. He fell, hit his Ambrose family jewels. Owens then flipped him out over into the ring, and he pinned him. And I was sitting there. I'm like, oh, he's kicking out. And 1, 2, 3, and I was like, wait, what?
Are you serious? That was the finish?
Yeah, that was the finish. So I think that they really missed the nail head on that one with finish wise, but the rest of the match was very good.
Absolutely, the match was great spots. I mean, Owens is a phenomenal worker. Ambrose is they're all phenomenal workers. I mean, they all meshed well with each other, and of course, I had no big nitpicks other than those two apparently. But
yeah, there really weren't a whole lot of big noticeable things on the whole episode even of SmackDown that you really could say that were not too good. There were just a lot of little things, a lot of housekeeping, as they like to say, that you could have tweaked, made a little bit better. Overall, I thought the show was great. So,
absolutely. I don't know if you noticed this though, because I kind of noticed it. After the match was over and they was going up to the ramp, did you notice that the camera was going like in all different directions or whatever? Like he had been tripped or he had been pushed.
I did notice that a little bit. It looked a little hectic.
So I don't know if Kevin might have pushed him being in character, or he might have tripped over some wiring or something. But I mean, cameramen at WWE are known to be very, very well detailed and very careful. So to see something like that, you cannot call it out.
Right, and it's just going on with Kevin Owens. He is. I respect him so much, and I have so much love for that guy because of the fact that he does that. He puts so much thought and so much just of him into his character that if he's on camera, the littlest, tiniest, itty bittiest thing is in character even. Just how he wipes his nose is not how he does in real life. That's how Kevin Owens does it.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe Kevin Owens is one of the very few legitimate heels that we have that's not afraid to get true heat. And if you have not followed him on Twitter, I mean, you need to go follow him.
Oh, you're missing out, dude.
But
great. He is, and whether people want to agree with me or not, this is, I think, the most perfect word for him. He is the most beautiful heel. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. He is very beautiful.
Not saying that, necessarily he's, the most attractive looking person, but his character, the way he sells, his moveset, his athleticism, everything, is just beautiful to me.
Well, I don't know about you, but I think he's pretty attractive. How you doing?
How you doing? Yeah, I would, if I were a little girl, I would request a Kevin Owens teddy bear when I go to sleep. So
you have no idea what that teddy bear would probably be saying. Shut up and go to bed. It's past your bedtime.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you saw his most recent thing, but somebody had actually, let's go back really quick and say, somebody had tweeted Kevin Owens the other night saying that his finish on SmackDown was the worst, like one of the worst finishes ever. And, he said, well, you being born was the worst way to end your mom's pregnancy. She suffered for 9 months and out popped you. Shame. And I thought, savage.
That had been the most
savage, dude. And that's a guy in a PG company. So, with that being said, what do you grade SmackDown this week?
Overall, I have to give it a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5, 8. And 8 would be a little generous, I'd say. So I'm gonna go with a solid 7.5.
I mean, all in all, great. Of course, there's more room for improvement, like we've talked about before. It's getting better. Morrow on commentary, King being the heel, playing them up, calling the spot. King always putting up the heels. It was great because there was promo, match, promo. I mean, there could be more matches here and there, but I mean, like you said, they're improving.
They're getting that flow back that really helps. So, well, unfortunately, guys, that's really all the time we have for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We tried to give you something very interesting to listen to, very interesting to be a part of. So, overall grade of the show, 7.5. If you haven't tuned into SmackDown recently at 8 o'clock on the USA Network, check it out, guys. It's worth watching. So, for me, I am the Cleveland Brawler, signing off.